Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Book Buzz. So thrilled to have you here with us. And to the lucky few who got here early and got to see us in not practice mode, we apologize for anything we may have said. We have no idea what it was. And for those of you who weren't here early, you missed out. I'm Jen Childs, and I'm really happy to be here. We've been asking you what you guys are reading for the fall, so of course we had to say what we're reading, and I'll start. I just downloaded Dan Brown's Secret of Secrets because it was actually embargoed, so very few people got to read it until yesterday when it was released. So I haven't started it yet. I downloaded it and I'm very excited to dip in because I love a good Dan Brown. I feel like that's exactly what my brain can handle right about now. And over to Elizabeth.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth. If you heard me in the practice mode saying I forgot my anniversary, don't tell my husband. I love fall. I am. This is one of my favorite times of year. I love the cooler weather. I love finally buying Reese's peanut butter cups again and hiding them for my kids. I love back to school shopping for supplies. And for me, this fall, I'm going to dive into Buckeye by Patrick Ryan. We had the chance to meet him at ALA, and some of you may have too. So, in addition to this novel, which is a sweeping story of two family across generations, which sounds right up my alley, in addition to it being a great book that I'm so excited to pick up, that's getting so many raves, he is a lovely person, and that just makes it all the better. So, that's what I'm going to start.
And hello, everyone. Miriam Tuliao. It's so great to have you all here joining us. This week, I'm reading All Consuming. It's really well researched, very entertaining, and an enlightening collection of essays about food culture, how it's shaped by economy, technology, history, and changing social currents. Really wonderful.
And just a reminder about our handy key. All of the books that we talk about will indicate what formats they're available in. Additionally, the orange E will let you know that an eGalley is available if you just can't wait to read it. Check NetGalley, check Edelweiss. Sometimes they're on both, sometimes they're only on one, but if the E is there, that means that you will have access to it.
And we wanted to make sure that you are all aware of these amazing upcoming virtual programs starting in October. First, we kick off with SLJ Day of Dialogue. We're so excited to be participating. And author Kobe Yamada will be speaking. He's the author of What Do You Do with an Idea? And he will be talking about his newest book coming up called Others. And I hope I'm not scooping LJ, but for Day of Dialogue in late October, we're so excited to have George Saunders, Will Haygood, and CJ Box on board to speak, among many others. So please join us there too. And keep an eye out for speaker announcements for LibraryCon. We will have a booth. We'll have some wonderful resources to share as well. That's early November. And it's not announced yet, but we will be bringing our PRH Book and Author Festival back. So just keep your eye out for news about that coming very soon. And for lots of other resources, please visit our website, penguinrandomhouselibrary.com. Sign up for our e-newsletters if you don't already. You can find lots of great things there, catalogs, suggestions, book lists, debut samplers, everything you can imagine. And if you can't find what you're looking for, feel free to reach out to us. Okay, just a brief note for authors who need no introduction. We just wanted to let you know about great new novels coming from these wonderful writers. Olga Tokarczuk, the Nobel Prize-winning and New York Times bestselling author of The Book of Jacob and Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, returns with the newest novel, House of Day, House of Night. And the amazing George Saunders, Booker Prize-winning author of Lincoln and the Bardo, returns with Vigil, a wise and playful novel of a CEO of an oil company in the twilight hours of his life. Don't miss these, coming soon. And for those of you looking for genre bestsellers, we have many to come, including Sarah Adams in romance. We have Demi Winter in romantasy. We have thrillers, and we have fantasy as well. So don't miss these bestselling authors coming out with new novels soon as well. Okay, on to the debuts. I am really, really excited to tell you about The Jills by Karen Parkman. This is a page turning literary debut mystery for fans of Chris Whitaker's All the Colors of the Dark and Liz Moore's The God of the Woods. Virginia is a Jill, a cheerleader for the NFL Buffalo Bills, living the life of her dreams. She spends her weekdays practicing, her weekends cheering at games, and her nights hopping between bars and clubs with her teammates, including the fearless and charismatic Janine, whose friendship has given Virginia confidence in spades and helped her get away from her troubled past with her estranged sister, Laura. But one Sunday, Janine fails to show up to a game and her calls and texts go unanswered. So Virginia embarks upon an investigation into Janine's disappearance. She's aided by her network of Buffalo Jills, ex boyfriends, seedy fixtures from Buffalo's criminal underground, and unexpected figures from her past. But as the search grows increasingly dangerous, disturbing questions about who Janine really was begin to emerge. And soon, Virginia finds herself wondering how well she knew her best friend and if she can trust the people she thought were protecting her, and whether, when she's trying to save the ones she loves most, if she's capable of saving herself too. This is part bingeable mystery, part character driven tale of a woman discovering her own strength in a system that's built for and by men. The Jills is a page turning novel that brims with wit and heart, but also reminds us of the power of sisterhood. So, this is perfect for mystery lovers and book club readers alike.
Next up, Hack meets Rebecca Mackay in Scavengers. This is a rollicking debut novel about a cautious daughter and her eccentric, estranged mother venturing west in search of buried treasure. After being fired for taking an uncharacteristic risk at her commodities trading job, Bea Macon sublets her New York apartment and books a one-way ticket to stay with her mother, Christy, a free spirit who's been living in Salt Lake City on Bea's dime. Usually the responsible one, Bea isn't about to admit exactly why she suddenly decided to visit, but she isn't the only one keeping secrets. Christy has a man, she has a map, and she has a username on a forum devoted to unearthing $1 million in buried treasure that an antiquities dealer claims to have hidden somewhere in the western U.S. Bea is convinced this is just another one of her mother's wild larks, an elaborate way to refuse as she has for Bea's entire life to finally grow up. But Christy believes she's onto something, and she's arranged a rendezvous in a rural town called Mercy with the guy she's been obsessively trading theories with online to prove it. Out in the desert that one woman believes to be a promised land and the other a wasteland, they find themselves barreling towards a more high-stakes, transformative escapade than either of them could have imagined. Populated with unforgettable characters and set against one of the world's most oddly enrapturing landscapes, Scavengers is a funny and heartbreaking novel about old injuries, new beginnings, and the lengths to which we'll go to find, escape, and reinvent ourselves. And a cool tidbit about the book. The treasure hunt in Scavengers is actually modeled on the true story of a $1 million of valuables hidden in the West by an art dealer, Forrest Fenn, who published a memoir that included a 24-line poem of clues to the treasure's location, which inspired a decade-long hunt that captured the world's attention and is currently the subject of the Netflix docuseries Gold and Greed: The Hunt for Forrest Fenn's Treasure, which came out in 2025.
And next we have Escape. This is a sharp and entertaining page-turning novel for readers of Rebecca Mackay and Gabriel Zevin. Everybody gets the story arc they deserve. Kent Duvall, a has-been reality winner, just wants another chance at glory, to find his way out of his depressing life and back to his highlight reel. When a scandal is captured on camera at a charity event, he gets his shot on a remote island with 7 other contestants. Each has been cast as a type: Ruddy the bully, Miriam the nerd, Ashley the love interest, but every one of them is more than they seem. The contestants' goal seems simple: survive the wild, build a raft, win a treasure. But Beck Berman, a disgraced reality producer, sees them as characters in her own redemption arc. As the schemes and strategies spiral out, breakout camps sabotage each other, and rival producers struggle to control the storyline. Soon, the question becomes less about who will win than who will make it out in one piece. Escape has a very unique author story. Stephen Fishbach is a Pushcart Prize winning author, a former television executive, a podcaster, and a two-time Survivor contestant.
I have a treasure hunting book coming up. I think we should make a collection of those.
That sounds great. We did want to share that we have a brand new debut sampler coming out, and you can find it on our website, and we'll also be sharing it in the wrap up.
So now we'd like to share some book club picks for all kinds of readers, and I will kick it off with A Gift Before Dying. This is a novel for fans of Dennis Lehane, Joe Nesbo, and Sarah Pierce. It's a hauntingly atmospheric novel of a disgraced police detective set against the unforgiving landscape of the Arctic Circle. After a botched high-profile murder investigation, Corporal Eldrick Cole is exiled to the remote, rugged landscape of Nunavut, a vast territory in the Arctic Circle known for its untamed beauty, frigid temperatures, and endless winter nights. With his family having severed all ties, Cole waits out the result of a civil lawsuit alone, and the wrong verdict could end what's left of his flailing career. His bleak existence takes a sinister turn when he discovers the hanging body of Pitsiolala, a troubled Inuit girl who he had sworn to protect. As Cole's life unravels, and with it the fragile thread of his investigation, he turns to Pitsiolala's brother, Maliktu, a fellow outsider. It's then that Cole uncovers what binds them together, a singular mission to find her killer. Against fierce backlash, Cole is willing to break every rule in his unyielding pursuit of justice and the smallest shred of redemption. What's amazing about this book, too, is that author Malcolm Kemp spent 17 years as a criminal lawyer in the Canadian Arctic, and A Gift Before Dying offers an authentic portrayal of the Inuit community, highlighting their rich culture, traditions, and the unique challenges of life in Canada's northern regions.
And before I go on, I'll just mention someone asked about ISBINs. I'll just say I promise we're going to send out every format ISBIN in the wrap up. So you'll have everything, a nice Excel grid with easily accessible. So you could definitely take notes, but you don't have to. We're going to take the notes for you. Okay, and next, from the author of My Absolute Darling, Crux is for readers of immersive literary fiction that center life-changing friendship and triumph over circumstances. Think Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow or Demon Copperhead. Dan and Tama are two teenagers in their last year of high school in the southern Mojave Desert. One is a gifted golden child, the other a mouthy burnout. Climbing boulders in trash-strewn parking lots during cold desert nights, they seal their unique bond and dream of a lifetime of adventure. As the years progress and adult reality looms, they are rocked by change and pulled apart by irreconcilable obligations. Differences of class, talent, and prospects take on new importance. Options dwindle, and their decisions grow ever more consequential and perilous. It feels inevitable, finally, that something must give. With magnificent gift for nature writing and a joyful appreciation for the redemptive power of friendship, Gabriel Talent gives readers a rollicking, adrenaline-filled, and soul-searching novel about risking everything to change your life. And then next up, this is perfect for readers of My Sister, the Serial Killer, or Gold Diggers. This is a fresh debut, How to Commit a Post-Colonial Murder, which is set in the summer of 1986. The Creel sisters, Georgie Ayar and Agatha Krishna, welcome their aunt, uncle, and young cousin, newly arrived from India, into their house in rural Wyoming where they'll all live together. Because that's what families do. That is, until the sisters decide that it's time for their uncle to die. According to Georgie, the British are to blame, And to understand why, you need to hear her story. She details the violence hiding in their house and history, her once unshakable bond with Agatha Krishna, and her understanding of herself as an Indian American in the heart of the West. Her account is at every turn cheeky, unflinching, and infectiously inflected with the trappings of teendom, including the magazine quizzes that help her make sense of her life. And in the spirit of such quizzes, let's take one on the novel. At its heart, How to Commit a Post-Colonial Murder is a vivid portrait of an extended family, B, a moving story of sisterhood, C, a playful ode to the 80s, D, a murder mystery of sorts, E, an unexpected, unwaveringly powerful meditation on history and language, trauma and healing, and the meaning of independence. Or perhaps it's really F, all of the above.
And our next title is perfect for book clubs who enjoy reading and discussing literary works in translation. Akiko's Quiet Happiness is an evocative new novel from the international best-selling author of The Art of Hearing Heartbeats. Two lonely former classmates reconnect in Tokyo and unravel a family secret. Still grieving the death of her mother, 29-year-old Akiko is single and lives in self-imposed isolation in Tokyo. Then one evening, she unexpectedly runs into Kento, her first love from school. Kento now leads a reclusive life as a hikikomori, only venturing out at night. At the same time, Okiko discovers that evidence that her mother had been lying to her about their family, causing her to doubt everything. She has to admit to herself that she doesn't know who she is. With Kento's help, Akiko embarks on a journey into her own history, which takes her life in surprising directions and leads her to questions she had never dared to ask herself before. How do I want to live? And do I have the courage to love? Fans of Jan Philipp Zenker will appreciate this love story and the author's singular ability to capture settings and cityscapes and the characters that inhabit them. Next, we turn to some recommended nonfiction works for readers of nature and adventure stories. And the first title is In Jungle Keeper, where explorer and conservationist Paul Rosalie shares his incredible life in the Amazon rainforest and what we can learn from the people fighting to protect it. Deep in the Peruvian jungle, there exists a corner of the world that remains untouched, one teeming with giant anacondas, where the haunting cries of howler monkeys send bright colored macaws shooting across the canopy. It's an ecosystem of exceptional biodiversity. When he first set foot in the jungle, Rosalie was a dyslexic kid from Brooklyn who had struggled to graduate from high school but had an undeniable calling to the outdoors. He was fortunate enough to meet Juan Julio Durand, an indigenous naturalist, and together over 2 decades they have created Jungle Keepers, an organization that has found a way to halt deforestation and protect more than 110,000 acres, inspiring millions along the way by documenting their progress online. But this work takes grit, and years in, Rosalie and Durand are past their quote, barefoot machete days, end quote, grappling with chainsaws, massive fires, illegal miners, and the worst of humanity. Here, Rosalie brings us up close and personal with one of the wildest places on the planet and tells the incredible story of first contact with one of the most mysterious, uncontacted tribes on Earth, the Mashko Piro. A story of calling, connectedness, and actionable hope. Jungle Keeper will resonate with readers of Ed Young's An Immense World and Michael Easter's The Comfort Crisis.
Hmm. Sounds good. So I am excited to tell you about our next book, which is for readers of thrilling historical tales that read like fiction, like the works of Eric Larson and Ben McIntyre, as well as sweeping tales of seafaring adventure, like The Wide, Wide Sea, The Wager, and In the Heart of the Sea. Neptune's Fortune is the riveting true story of a legendary Spanish galleon that sunk off the coast of Colombia with over 1 billion in gold and silver and one man's obsessive quest to find it. Written by the New York Times bestselling author of Madhouse at the End of the Earth. Roger Dooley wasn't looking for the San Jose, but an accidental discovery in the dusty stacks of a Spanish archive led him to the story of a lifetime. The tale of a great 18th century treasure ship loaded with riches from the New World and destined for Spain. But that ship, the galleon San Jose, met a darker fate. It was drawn into a pitched battle with British ships of war off the coast of Cartagena, and when the smoke cleared, the San Jose and its bounty had disappeared into the ocean, its coordinates lost to time. Though a diver at heart, Dooley was an unlikely candidate to find the San Jose. He had little in the way of serious credentials, and he but he did have the tenacity and single-minded devotion to help him find and excavate the ship, and it powered him across 4 decades. As Dooley jousted with famous treasure hunters and well-funded competitors, he slowly homed in on a patch of sea that might contain a 300-year-old shipwreck or nothing at all. Neptune's Fortune is a thrilling adventure, taking readers from great naval battles in the high seas to the sun-soaked shores that nurtured history's most notorious treasure hunters, to the archives that held the secret keys of a lost fortune on the ocean floor.
I feel like going on a treasure hunt now. There's a lot of treasure hunting books, you're right. Okay, next up, we're going to take a look at some um, great kind of self-helpy nonfiction. First up is Humor Me. This is perfect for readers of books like Gretchen Rubin's The Happiness Project or The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Bleep. And it focuses on something I'm sure we can all use, more laughter in our lives. 14 years ago, when Chris Duffy was an exhausted fifth grade teacher, he taught the funniest person he'd ever met, an 11-year-old boy named Gary. Gary was the school newspaper's official food critic, blasting cafeteria pizza for looking like cardboard and opining that the baked beans weren't beany enough. These days, Duffy is a stand-up comedian and the host of a podcast with millions of listeners, but he's never forgotten the joy of laughing with Gary during a bleak Boston winter. Gary taught him that life without a sense of humor isn't much of a life at all. But Humor Me is more than just the story of a tired New England man's learning life lessons from a highly opinionated child. It's a journey to find what it means to have a sense of humor in a world that often feels profoundly unfunny. How and why do we laugh when there's so much pain and suffering? Duffy finds insights about the underrated importance of humor everywhere, from comedy clubs to emergency rooms to a helicopter full of Navy SEALs. Duffy employs his trademark curiosity and wit to learn how a good laugh can bring us all closer to the good life. Humor Me is packed with strategies for a life filled with laughter, deep friendship, and meaning, and is a genuinely funny read along the way. Much like a dish of cafeteria beans, this book is an experience that you'll be thinking about for years after.
And next we have Intensity. This is a rallying cry to fight the commodification of human attention. And it's a book that you can recommend to readers of Stolen Focus, The Siren's Call, and Attention Merchants. We all feel it. Something is seriously wrong. Our attention, that essential ability to give our minds and senses to the world, is being trapped, gutted, and sold out from under us by an industry of immense technological and financial power. The exploitation of this vital capacity by a handful of tech companies is harming us all, reducing our very selfhood to that which can be quantified, bought, and sold. To push back against this human fracking, we need more than individual willpower or isolated efforts. We need a movement of collective resistance. Such a movement is beginning to bloom, and in this radical, first of its kind guide, the Friends of Attention show us how to join the fight. We meet welders, nurses, poets, and surfers, all of whom are engaged in attentional practices. We learn to seek out sanctuaries, theaters, and museums, houses of worship, dance parties where together we can take refuge from the frackers. Drawing on a rich legacy of critical intellectuals and the creative wisdom of diverse traditions, Intensity calls on us to come together to defeat the greedy, dehumanizing forces of brute instrumentalization and re-enchant the world. The Friends of Attention is a collective of our activists, artists, and thinkers. Three editors and long-standing friends helped Intensity take shape. D. Graham Burnett is a professor of history of science at Princeton University. Alyssa Lowe, a filmmaker who co-directed the short film 12 Theses on Attention. And Peter Schmidt is the program director of the Strother School of Radical Attention. And moving on to
Yep.
historical
And
fiction.
oh, I still have one more.
Oh,
Take me.
sorry.
That's okay. No worries. I was going to say, I'm sure the only people who get more questions about publishing books than publishers are librarians. And next up, we have something perfect for you to hand to that patron who's looking to start a career in nonfiction. From the literary agent behind some of today's most successful authors comes Take It From Me. It's a narrative guide geared specifically to the needs of aspiring and working nonfiction writers, demystifying the world of publishing and offering a practical roadmap to getting your book published. This book fills a real gap because most books on the craft of writing focus on fiction. Um, Aliyah Hana Habib remembers what it was like to be on the outside of the publishing world. Arriving in New York, a first-generation college student with a love of reading and loads of ambition, she hadn't any idea how to break into the business of books. Now, years later, in her career as an agent, she hears from prospective clients who, whether they're experts at the top of their field or wholly new to the writing game, consider finding success in publishing to be a mysterious and daunting endeavor. Ever determined to flout the stereotype of agent as gatekeeper, however, Habib is prepared to hand emerging writers the key. Drawing wisdom from her star-studded list of clients, including Hanif Abdurraqib, Merv Emery, Nicole Hannah-Jones, and Judy Battalion. In Take It From Me, Habib provides context and clarity to each step of the publishing process. From the germination of a book idea to finding an agent to represent it, from crafting an engaging proposal to navigating the perils of publicity, readers will find real-life samples of her author's pitch letters and book proposals, as well as templates that writers can use when querying agents or promoting their work on social media. She also incorporates the advice of trusted industry colleagues, attorneys, accountants, editors, publishers, publicists, and more, gifting readers with a full team of experts to answer all the questions they've had about the publishing world, but were too afraid to ask or didn't even know to ask. Essential for both the aspiring novice and the seasoned professional, Take It From Me as a guidebook writers will return to again and again. At times laugh out loud funny, at others brutally honest about her own experiences in publishing and in life. Habib offers a clear-eyed look at the challenges facing today's aspiring nonfiction writers and then gives them the comprehensive, expert guidance they need to put those roadblocks in the rearview mirror.
And now we turn to transportive works of historical fiction. Our first title is The Architect of New York by Javier Moro. And this is a work in translation. It chronicles the life, loves, and iconic successes of Rafael Guastavino, the influential Spanish architect of the Gilded Era. His signature vaulted tile ceilings revolutionized Gilded Age New York City. The Oyster Bar in Grand Central, the Prospect Park Boathouse, and the iconic Old City Hall subway station. These are among his masterpieces. But while his works continue to imbue the city with the glamour of a bygone era, the man himself has been largely forgotten. Told through the eyes of Guastavino's um, Guastavino's son and business partner, Raphael Jr., Javier Moro's magnetic prose brings to life the remarkable rags to riches journey of this influential immigrant family. Guastavino was a stubborn man, enamored of his own sense of destiny, but he was also a deeply compassionate father, committed to his family as he was to his work, and equally defined by his successes and failures. Set against historical events, including the Chicago's World's Fair and the sinking of the Titanic, The Architect of New York is a moving and entertaining father-son story filled with the deeply researched real-life characters, including such figures as Stanford White and Daniel Burnham, and it offers a timeless glimpse into the human heart.
Next up, for readers of Megha Majumdar and Yaa Gyasi, comes a stunning new work from universally acclaimed Danielle Manjundan, whose debut short story collection won the Story Prize and was a finalist for the Los Angeles Book Prize, the National Book Award, and the Pulitzer Prize. Moving from Pakistan's dazzling, chaotic cities to its lawless, feudal countryside, This Is Where the Serpent Lives powerfully evokes contemporary feudal Pakistan, following the destinies of a dozen unforgettable characters whose lives are linked through violence and tragedy, triumph and love. Orphaned as a little boy and fending for himself in the city streets, Yazid rises to a place of responsibility and respect in the Lahore household of Colonel Attar, a powerful industrialist and politician, only to find that position threatened by conflicting loyalties and misplaced trusts. Born on Colonel Attar's country estate to a poor gardener, Saqib is entrusted with the management of a pioneering business, but he overreaches and finds himself an outlaw, confronting the violence of the corrupt Punjab police. The colonel's son competes with his cherished brother for the love of a woman and discovers that her choice colors his life with unexpected darkness as well as light. In matters of power and money and the heart, Manudin's characters struggle to choose between paths that are moral and just and more worldly choices that allow them to survive in the systems of caste, capital, and social powers that so tightly grip their culture. Intimate and epic, elegiac and profoundly moving, This Is Where the Serpent Lives is a tour de force destined to become a classic of contemporary literature. And Danielle will be appearing on a panel at Library Journal's Day of Dialogue, so I hope you'll um, join and hear about the book from the author himself.
And now we turn to two dark fantasy and Gothic reads. And our first title is Ballad of the Bone Road. From Sunburst award-winning author A.C. Weiss, this utterly original dark fantasy tale of faith and fanaticism, doomed love, and desperate bargains is perfect for fans of Sylvia Moreno Garcia and Ava Reed. Port Astor is a city of ghosts. Once home to the beautiful, brutal courts of the Fae, 40 years ago they vanished without explanation, and Port Astor decided to forget. Brix and Bellfeather are paranormal investigators working to keep Port Astor's ghosts from consuming its citizens. Both have hauntings of their own. Bell shares her body with a demon, while Brix has trapped the soul of his dead fiancé in the world of the living, unwilling to let her go. While investigating a haunting at the glamorous Peony Peony Hotel, the pair comes across a young couple tangled up in one of the city's most infamous stories. Jimmy Valentine, idol of the silver screen and supposed favorite of a Fey Queen, has returned to haunt the Peony. But Jimmy is no mere ghost, and Brix and Belle soon realize his return is more intimately tied to their own hauntings than they could ever have imagined. This is written with lyrical and haunting prose. The author delivers another beautifully written novel that will linger long after you turn the final page.
And next is We Who Have No Gods. For those who love high stakes romantasy, like the novels of Rebecca Yarros, as well as fans of dark academia hits such as The Atlas Six, A Deadly Education, Babel, and Ninth House. Vic Woods has her priorities: scrape by on her restaurant wages, take care of her younger brother Henry, and forget their mother ever existed. But Vic's careful life crumbles when she discovers that their long missing mother belonged to the Archeron Order, a secret society of witches tasked with keeping the dead at bay. What's worse, Henry inherited their mother's magical abilities while Vic did not, and he has been chosen as the Order's newest recruit. Determined to keep him safe, Vic accompanies Henry to the isolated woods in upstate New York that host the sprawling and eerie Avalon Castle. When she joins the Academy despite lacking powers of her own, she risks not only the Order's wrath, but also her brother's. And then there is the imposing, ruthless, and frustrating Zan, the head sentinel in charge of protecting Avalon. He makes no secret of wanting Vic to leave. As she makes both enemies and allies in this mysterious realm, Vic becomes caught between the dark forces at play. But with war between witches threatening the fabric of reality, Vic must decide whether to risk her heart and life for a world where power is everything. I promise this book has all of the things: a kick ass heroine, family secrets, witches, forced proximity, and a slow burn.
Sounds good. Okay, into romance and romantasy. I drew the short straw, so I have to tell you about this racy book. Um, First up is from the beloved USA Today bestselling romance author Fallon Ballard, comes Something Wicked. It's a seductive romantasy that blends Macbeth and Moulin Rouge into a hypnotic saga of sex, love, and murder. The country of Avon is in deep turmoil. The uprising has overthrown Avon's monarchical rulers and a decree has been issued. Candidates for the first presidential election will be selected by the completion of a special task to kill the former monarch of their home province. Callum, the son of the recently dethroned king, is determined to be in the running, but to do so, he must come to terms with killing his father, the key to which lies in the hands of Lady Catherine, a gifted courtesan at La Puissance, Avon's premier sex club. Lady Catherine has always had the magical ability to manipulate the emotions of anyone who experiences an orgasm in her presence. If Callum can only open up to Kate, he'll be able to commit the newly fated murder without suffering the guilt and take his place as the rightful candidate from his province. But Callum has a deep-seated mistrust of the gifted, and the last thing he expects is to be confronted with an undeniable connection with Kate that neither of them understands nor wants. With the fate of the country at stake, Callum and Kate search for ways to bare themselves to each other, literally and figuratively, and discover a darker force building within La Puissance, one that might ruin the future of Avon for good. To stop Avon from violently falling to ashes, they must sacrifice everything they have, even if it requires betraying each other. And I'll warn you that the title info page says that Ballard takes it up a steamy notch here in this book, so this is not for the faint-hearted. I did warn you.
It's good to have those pepper ratings. I don't know how many peppers this next one has, but I am excited to tell you about The Book of Blood and Roses, a seductive, sapphic paranormal fantasy and a debut for readers of dark academia, as well as fans of vampire pop culture, such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twilight, and Vampire Academy. In the midst of the Scottish Highlands is a university where vampires study alongside humans. Rebecca Charity is a vampire hunter undercover at the university, searching for the mysterious Book of Blood and Roses, a lost compendium of ways to kill vampires. If she finds it, she'll be one step closer to avenging her parents who were slain by those creatures of the night. But when Rebecca arrives, she finds something unexpected: a coffin. Her new roommate is Elise Astra, scion of one of the most powerful vampire families, and one of the most beautiful women Rebecca has ever met. The maddeningly gorgeous Elise is everything that Rebecca has always hated, but also everything she's ever wanted. And now Rebecca doesn't know if she wants to kiss or kill her. When one moonlit night Elise rescues her from a vampire attack, she accidentally makes Rebecca her familiar, and now they must work together to break the curse and solve the mystery. So I will veer from vampires to something a little more
I guess we
cozy.
have to love contemporary Western romance stories about opposites attract, like Done and Dusted, and Holding the Reins. A fish out of water story about a chef who inherits a ranch, discovers a family he never knew, and finds an unexpected love with a fiercely loyal woman. New York City chef Jake West had it all, but a few strokes of a pen meant no more marriage, no more restaurant, and no more big city lifestyle. Then he receives a letter explaining that his long estranged father, Brett, has died and he needs to return to the Canadian ranch he left as a child. Jake expects to go, sign more papers, and return to the city and rebuild his future. Instead, Jake learns that Brett's left the ranch to him and only him. Things might have been hot in his restaurant's kitchen, but that's nothing compared to what he faces now. A family he didn't know existed and a property he doesn't want. Tanner and Brady, his half brothers, don't want him around. And while his stepmother, Peony, welcomes him, there's Liz, Peony's daughter. She's not a West, but her loyalties lie with the family, not an outsider. However, as Jake settles into the rhythms of the ranch, he wonders if he's finally found something that's been missing in his life, especially as he and Liz grow closer. At first, it's just attraction, but when a sudden kiss ignites a heat in both of them, they can't ignore this raging inferno. Maybe Brett West knew what he was doing when he summoned his eldest son back home and gave him a chance to change his life forever. This is a spicy enemies to love romance that's combined with family drama, and you'll definitely want to add it to your to be read shelves.
And I will wrap up this slide with something a little bit cozy. Um, Next is for fans of cozy fantasy with a strong love story and poetic wisdom, like books such as Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, House in the Cerulean Sea, and The Midnight Library. Those fans will love this next one, The Elsewhere Express, from the author of Watermoon. You can't buy a ticket on the Elsewhere Express, appearing only to those whose lives are adrift. It's a magical train carrying very rare and special cargo, a sense of purpose, peace, and belonging. Rhea is one of those lost souls. She has dreamed of being a songwriter, but when her brother died, she gave up on her dream and started living his instead. One day on the subway, as her thoughts wander, she's swept off to the Elsewhere Express. There she meets Q, a charming, handsome artist who, like her, has lost his place in the world. Together, they find a train full of wonders, from a boarding car that's also a meadow, to a dining car where passengers can picnic on lily pads, to a bar where jellyfish and whales swim through pink clouds. But they also discover that the train harbors secrets and danger. A mysterious stranger has stowed away and brought with him a dark, malignant magic that threatens to destroy the train. In investigating the stowaway's identity, Rhea also finds herself drawn closer to the ultimate question: what is her life's true purpose? And might Q be connected to it all?
And now we have a coming of age space opera, A Hole in the Sky, by internationally best-selling author Peter F. Hamilton. This is the first in a new coming of age trilogy where life on a generation ship takes a turn for the worst when the delicate cycle of life is disturbed. 16-year-old Hazel lives in Daedalus, a generation ship on a centuries long flight in search of a new world. The ship has been traveling for 500 years, searching for a world to settle in after having to abandon its last world. Everyone on board Daedalus lives a very simple existence in farming villages. The age of machines supplying their needs was lost during a mutiny 500 years ago. The AI captain regained control of the ship after a huge struggle. Now, with finite resources, everything in the habitat is cycled, including humans who essentially are suicided at 65 so that they don't deplete the biosphere's resources. Hazel encounters the cheaters, people who refuse to cycle, who tell her the Daedalus has been damaged and its atmosphere is leaking away. When her brother has a paralyzing accident which condemns him to be cycled since he can no longer be productive, Hazel runs off with him to join the cheaters. While with the cheaters, she discovers that much of what has been told to the people living on Daedalus for the last 500 years is untrue. And soon, Hazel is in a thrilling race to help repair the ship and help the people of Daedalus. This is a fast moving space opera that would be a great recommend for fans of Alistair Reynolds and Miles Cameron.
And we're going to conclude today with a few audio highlights for fall. Our audio originals program keeps growing, and these are two musts for your collection. One is made for thriller lovers, while the other will excite history buffs and nonfiction podcast listeners. From the New York Times bestselling author of The Next Mrs. Parrish comes a gripping audio original set in the intoxicating Parrish universe, The Making of Jackson Parrish, a prequel where we learn about the villain's origin story. Set against a lush Mediterranean backdrop of glittering seas and decadent indulgences, The Making of Jackson Parrish is a riveting exploration of how charm, cunning, and calculated ambition transport a young man into a formidable master of power and persuasion, and a seductive glimpse into the high stakes world of how he mastered to get there. We have narrators Suzanne Ellen Freeman and Scott Brick back. They've read for this series before, and they will again, and they are joined by the fantastic Ari Flykos. And for listeners who like a different kind of thrill, the thrill of the hunt, or at least the hunt for a fascinating history tale, comes Meat Eaters American History, The Hide Hunters, 1865 to 1883, coming in October. Following the successful audiobook original series Meat Eaters Campfire Stories, Stephen Ranella, expert outdoorsman, New York Times bestselling author, and popular television and podcast host, returns with the third volume in his audio exclusive history series. The Hide Hunters taps Ranella's expertise as a hunter and wildlife conservationist and immerses listeners in the brutal and unforgiving world of the professional buffalo hunters who drove America's most iconic wildlife species to the brink of extinction. Two must-haves indeed. And that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you, as always, to everyone who's joined us. We always love talking to you about new books. We love hearing what you're reading. And we will send out, as Jen said, we'll send out all the slides, the ISBNs, all the links, and we hope to see you again on November 5th.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.